Personal finance practice problem using OneNote. What if we saved our $5 a day coffee habit? Prepare to get financially fit by practicing personal finance. Here we are in OneNote. If you have access to OneNote, would like to follow along, you're not required to, but if would like to, we're in the icon on the left-hand side. We're in the Practice Problems tab down in the 1200 What if we saved our $5 a day coffee habit tab. Also note, when using OneNote, take a look at the Immersive Reader tool. Our presentations will also be in the text area, same name, same number, but with transcripts that can be translated into multiple different languages and either listened to or read in them. Closing the icon, we got our information up top, calculations on down below. Now, before we get started, I know many people are probably saying, I know what would happen if I stopped my $5 a day coffee habit. I'd fall asleep at work, I'd lose my job, I wouldn't have any money, I'd have to spend all my time in the coffee shop due to the fact it's the only place I can get decent Wi-Fi. All the baristas would be mad at me because, of course, I'm not paying for any coffee while I'm sitting in the coffee shop. So in any case, if the not buying coffee causes you a problem, then that's okay. You don't have to do that. But just an idea here to think about how a small amount could actually cause a fairly decent amount of savings if it was consistently saved and we look at the interest being compounded. So we have the cost per day, which we're going to assume at the $5. That means our cost per year, we're going to make nice and even at the 1,800. We're going to be assuming 360 days in a year, it's closer to 365, but a lot of times in finance, we'll kind of even things out in terms of the months to have nice even 30-day months instead of 31, 30, and so on. So 30 times 12 would give us the 360 times the 5 years. That's where we're going to get the 1,800. And instead of compounding it, monthly or daily or weekly in terms of the calculation, we're going to use an annuity calculation and compound it yearly with the future value of an annuity at the full amount of the 1,800. So once again, $5 a day coffee habit, which we're basically approximating here that we save that. And we're going to take the 360 days, which is 12 times 30. And that means we're going to have the annual amount times 5 of the 1,800. We're going to save that. We're going to do that for years, 10 years. And we're going to keep the compounding notice, again, on a yearly basis. We do problems, and we'll take a look at problems in the future when we look at things on a monthly basis for periods instead of years, which is quite common. But in a lot of times when you're looking at book problems or to simplify things, it's easier to look at it on a year-by-year basis, especially when you're limited with regards to the tables. When you move outside the tables and you start working with Excel, as we've been taking a look at, then of course you can use the compounding in different formats like monthly and whatnot, or have the periods in months. And we do have to make some slight adjustments in there as well. We'll do that in future practice problems. So we're going to have the rate of return at the 8% that we're going to be assuming here. So let's first think about this just simply with our running balance type of calculation, which would be tedious to do by hand, but easy to do in Excel. We do this in Excel if you want to check that out as well. So we're going to start off with the payment of the 1,800. Notice when we're applying our future value of annuity function here, we are not going to be having period 0 here. So we're starting at period 1. Just keep that in mind because that's often confusing when you're looking at these annuity type of calculations. The payment is assumed to happen at the end of the period. If you already had a payment at the beginning of the period, then you need to kind of take that into consideration as you do your calculation. We might look at a practice problem like that in the future. And you could have an annuity calculation where you assume the payments to happen at the beginning of the period, but that's more of an unusual type of annuity. We will look at a problem like that in a future calculation as well. But here's standard annuity. We got period 1 at that 1,800. No interest then earned because we're assuming, or interest or whatever gain we have that we put it in, whatever investment we're putting it in, because we assume we put it in there at the end of the year. Then that means in year 2, we're going to start to have our gains. We'll just calculate our gains out. So we're going to have then 1,800 times 0.08 is going to be the 144. We're going to put in another 1,800 in year 2. So therefore, we've got the starting 1,800 plus 144 plus 1,800 about. There is rounding involved. That gives us about the 3774, and we would just continue on this process, taking that 3774, multiplying that times 0.08, that then giving us the 300 about, and then we put in another 1,800. That would give us the 3744 plus the 300 plus the 1800, giving us about the 5844. Continuing on, a couple more times we'll do this. We got then the 5844 times the 0.08. That's going to give us then the 467. We're going to add that to the 1,800. Another payment we put in, our starting point, 5844 plus the 467 plus the 1800 is going to give us the 8111. Let's do it one more time, one more round. 8111 times 0.08. That's going to give us the 649 about, plus another 1,800 payment. So we got the 8111 plus the 649 plus the 1800 is going to give us the 10,560. So notice as we do this, we can see that the amount of increase, which you can think of as interest or whatever the gain is, depending on the type of investment we have, is going up rather significantly because it's both compounding on itself, the interest, and we're putting another payment in at the beginning of each period. Continuing this on for 10 periods, we would get down to the bottom here at the 26,076. So therefore, if you were to do this for 10 years, you would be very tired, and you would have lost your job because of tiredness, and you would have made all the baristas mad in the coffee shop, but you would have saved 26,076 possibly at that point, and that's going to basically consist of the amount of savings of 1800 times 10 years. So 18,000 of it would have been from just investments, and the difference between that and the 26,076 is the earnings that you would have, but we're estimating at the 8,076. Now you could do this with a Excel formula or function. So these are probably the two ways that you would kind of do a calculation like this in practice, doing the future value of an annuity function and then double checking it, verifying it in your mind, make it more solidified with the calculation of the table, also helping you to break out the interest calculations on a year-by-year basis. The function in Excel would look something like this: equals negative. To flip the sign, that negative could be in front of the payment or just in front of the FV to make it a positive number. Brackets, the rate would be in the cell. I have a cell reference. Instead of typing in 0.08, we're referring to the cell, which is good practice in Excel because it allows you to change the number and then run different scenarios with it. Comma, number of periods is going to be 10, also indicated by that cell reference in B5, comma, we've got the payment, which would then be the 1,800. We have the payment because it is an annuity calculation instead of having the present value. So we're going to say that would then give us the 26,075.81, goes right to that number. So there we have it. Now, if you're in a school setting, it's quite likely or more likely that you might then use a mathematical formula and or tables. So that's what we'll do now. We have the future value of an annuity equals P, which in this case does not stand for the present value, but the payments, which are 1,800 paid each period, times 1 plus R, which is the rate of 8%, to the number of periods N, which would be 10, minus 1 over R, which once again would be 8%. You could plug the numbers in, do it algebraically. We're going to make a table out of it with these two components in the outer column, and then go into the inner columns to provide the added detail for it. I'll move this down as low as I can so we can see it. So we got the outer payment, 1,800. Then the numerator, this top component, which is going to be 1. And then we've got the rate, so 1 plus R is going to be 1 plus the 8% for 108% to the number of periods, which is going to be 10, which would give us this number. Let's do that in the trusty calculator, making sure that you have a calculator that can take you to the power of 10. I'm going to look at a scientific calculator to do that. So we're getting scientific on it. I'm going to say 1 plus 0.08, and we get 1.08 or 108% to the power of, which is the xy, which gives us the caret, and then 10. And then I'm going to say in a scientific type fashion that the result of our analysis would then be 2.158925 about. Notice it is, of course, rounded here in Excel. When you work this in Excel, Excel will calculate using the actual number, even though we can only see so many decimals depending on what we set the cell to be at. So let's go back to the standard calculator, and then we're gonna continue on. So then we're gonna subtract out this 1 right here in the numerator to finish up the numerator. That gives us to the 1.15892, and so on. Then we're gonna take that and divide it by the denominator, which is R, or 8%. Pull that out to the outer column. So let's do that in the trusty calculator. 1.1589225 divided by 0.08 would give us about 14.4865, and so on. And then we'll take that times P, which is up top, the 1,800, 1800, finally getting to the 26075.81. Notice this is more exact than what's in the calculator due to the fact, well, it's only out to 2 digits, but the Excel is going to round it and be more exact to how many digits we tell it to take it to. All right, so then we can do it one more time with the tables here. This will be a straightforward table type problem, just making sure that we got the proper tables, remembering that we'll have 4 of them typically available to us. 2 present value tables, 2 future value tables, both having an annuity and non-annuity format. We're looking here for the future value annuity type of format, looking for the rate of 8%, the periods of 10. So we just find the right table, and then we're looking for the rate of 8, 8 and 10, 8 and 10, 14.487, 14.487. There we have it. Let's do the multiplication. 1800 times 14.487. We got the 26076.6, which is close to what we got up here, but slightly different. The table being slightly not quite as correct due to the table being rounded to 3 to 4 digits. The actual decimal is closer to this decimal, which you can see goes past 4 digits, and therefore you have that rounding difference between the two, a difference which is usually not relevant for decision-making purposes, for most decision-making purposes, but maybe something that you need to be aware of in a school setting. If they're telling you to use the tables, then you want to make sure that you're giving the rounded number to indicate that you followed the directions.